now that we have a president-elect, that's talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we'll be looking at what APC, the party that brought in him, what he has on sport, and let's see the way forward under this new dispensation. From that, we'll also look at the Flying Eagles, the review of the Flying Eagles' performance in the ongoing Under-20 African Cup of Nations taking place in Egypt. Joining me to analyze this is an expert and a very reverend colleague in the sporting industry. That's Jide Alaka, who is an editor with Premium Times. Good day, Jide.
Good day again, Shitu. Thank you for calling on me once again.
Yes, we'll go straight to the issue of today. As I saw your article, your publication some days ago on the Nigeria Decide 2023, and you critically analyze all the three major political parties that manifesto on sport. And now that we have only one political party that will be ruling us for the next 4 years, the All Progressive Congress, talking about the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our focus will not be on APC manifesto on sport. Can you tell us what we should be expecting on this manifestation, and how realistic is the world of sport going to go under this new dispensation?
Okay, thank you again, Shitu. A very, very nice question. Basically, when you look through the APC manifesto, you see some very good words, you see some very good phrases. My own fear, and I can have a fear, I'm a human being, my own fear is that it's just a research paper and there are no KPIs or OKRs implanted in these phrases and ideas that have been written down. It talks about dynamic training and funding approach. The question to ask is, what is this? Return of school sports, we've always had that. What is the thing that will be done differently this time? How will you do it? How are you going to make school sports different from what we already have right now? We talked about the new national sports policy, industry policy. What is that? What is it really? We talked about incentives to attract the private sector investments. We know that investments are driven by returns. So what returns are we promising to the private sector to enable them to, or to encourage them to come and invest in sports? Those are my own questions. Athletes Welfare Fund, how will that be applied? Who will fund it? Who would administer that fund? So, the easiest for me, I understand what is being said, but my fear, like I said at the beginning, is how is it going to be done? My thoughts is that whatever Nigeria wants to achieve in sports can be done through schools. At every level, from the primary school to the secondary school to the universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, technical schools, all those things, they can be put together to concretize whatever sports development plan that we have. Now, my own question, and this is just basically throwing it into the air, is how do you incentivize schools to develop or recognize talent and fish out that grassroots talent that is the next big thing? If we can answer that question, if we can incentivize all schools at every level to do that, then we would have taken the right step. I think if it is 10 steps, we would have taken 5 steps out of 10.
So now let's critically, what do you think is it's most often time the reasons why we don't have all these manifestos implemented the way it has been written in the document? Because more often time people don't really believe that. Is there any hope, or is there anything that makes this manifesto different from the rest?
Okay, Shitu, there's nothing. There's just one thing that makes it different, and that is what made this past election different. We had more voices, more people voices, more people, anger. So people are now interested in who he or she rules them in whatever department they are being ruled or they are being led. So the point that I'm trying to make is, right now, everybody seems to be interested in leadership. And if we are that interested in leadership, that means we want to hold those that we elect, in quote, We want to hold them accountable for the things that they promised. So as long as you do not deliver on your promise, people, Nigerians now know that collectively we have the power to say enough is enough, you are not running again. So for me, what it tells me is that whoever becomes leader in any sphere in Nigeria this time around is not just going to play the ostrich to whatever manifesto that they brought up. They are going to try and actualize the points that they made in those manifestos.
Also note some certain things right now is the very fact that most often time when it comes to the new dispensation, new government in, there's always a question about the sport department or the sport ministry, whether the appointment of the minister of sports should be a politically inclined person or it should be a technocrat. We've often seen that we always have issues with that, and from experience and also from your own experience, you know that the debate will come often that should we always appoint a political appointee or we should have somebody that is a technocrat. That's my question to you. Should we be expecting a technocrat in this, or we should expect a political appointee? Someone like the present minister, Sunday Dare, Chief Sunday Dare, is a political appointee, very far from, is a journalist. The last one was also Solomon Dalon, is also a political appointee, is new to the world of sport. How true is it for we to appoint a technocrat rather than a political appointee? What's your take on that?
Shitu, you've thought very well. You've thought long and hard about this. And the question even gives the answer itself. The importance you place on the sector underlines who you bring in to run that sector. So I believe that answers your question. If the next president of Nigeria, and the president-elect of Nigeria, intends to increase the GDP of sports-based sector from 0.03 to the United Nations ascribed between 2% and 3%, then you cannot put a square peg in a round hole. You have to find someone who understands what it means to run sports professionally, not amateur. Because amateur sports is what has brought us to where we are now. We must try to run sports professionally as a business. So we must find someone who understands what development is, what exposure is, and who has a plan that you can see and work out. So you cannot just bring someone in who just wants to fill an office. So that is the answer. It's just the same thing if you wanted to answer who's supposed to be the next minister of infrastructure or whatever in Nigeria. It cannot be someone who does not have an idea how to solve the electricity problem or electricity shortage problem in Nigeria. You cannot bring someone whose only claim to being minister is that he knows the president. That can't happen again.
Okay. So in that, other argument on that topic is that it's the will. Some say it's the will to implement this that is more important. That is not whether the person is a technocrat or whether the person is a former athlete or whether the person is a sport director. Some say it's the will. How true is that? Do you also believe that more important between choosing a political appointee to be the sport minister or choosing a technocrat, somebody that knows sport in and out, that the most important thing is the will to implement? Does that really? Okay. What's your opinion on that?
Shitu, the answer is very, very simple. I will say find the right person. What that means is that the right person, whether the person knows, like you were saying, whether the person is a technocrat or he knows or sports administrator, if you get the right person, Shitu, into that seat, if the person he or she does not know, he or she will find the people that know. He will not work with sycophants who just tell him or her, you are doing well, you are doing well, you are doing well. A leader is not supposed to know everything, but a leader must understand how to solve problems and challenges. And if you are going to solve a challenge or a problem as we have in the sports sector, if you do not know so much about it, then you must educate yourself about it. That means getting right people around you to formulate and run the policies that are going to be developed. That is the solution.
Okay, now let's take a profile and take our listeners back to when the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State, and let's see some of his policies. And I tell you that Lagos State has been under Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the governor. See the present governor we have, Sanwo-Olu. It seems that Lagos State is the only state that doesn't have a state-owned club side. All the club side in Lagos in the MPFL, I'm talking about football right now, from Ikorodu United to the stationery stores and to MFM, it has always been a private-owned club run by private owners. You should also be expecting such, where as become the president-elect, that government should separate itself from running of sport in the nation, because under him as the former governor of Lagos State, there's a separation of government running. Most things were done, even right now, under private sector. Would you also expect that,
Okay.
or do you think that's the right way to go?
I think it is right. Whether it has been done the right way, I don't know. Government has no business running professional sports. That's the truth. Governance is about providing the establishment, the infrastructure to run those things. When you talk about the best, you watch a lot of international football. Which state-owned club can, compete with the likes of the Chelseas of this world or the Man U's of this world? Which state-owned club? You cannot, because governance is not about that. Governance is about provision of the facilities. So for me, the divorce of state from running sports is a good one. Whether it has been done well is another question. For me, Lagos State has done the right thing. You don't have any business running a
Club side.
Where do we get the best clubs that are run now? You are watching some of the local league now. The best run clubs right now are privately run clubs.
Yes.
They are the ones that you will not hear about that are owing salaries or doing this or that, because they understand the plan and they want to make money. State government run clubs don't want to make money. They just collect funds from the government and spend. And that is the gamut of the whole plan. Collect money, spend, and try to stay in the MPFL. If we get relegated, all the better we collect small money again and start running again. That is not the purpose of sports.
Yes, as Jide Alaka, as a sports stakeholder in the country, it is not exaggeration if I say you know more sport in terms of Nigerian sports so much. And what would be your advice? Let me limit them to 3 points, cardinal points you probably want to give the president-elect in ensuring that we have a good sports industry in the country before we go into the next topic with regards to the Flying Eagles.
Okay, what I would say is this. There are countries that have done what we want to do. Let me cite some examples, like Belgium. Belgium is one of the smallest European countries, but they continue to produce some of the best footballers in the world. How did they go about it? They formulated a policy that ensured that till now, as we are talking now, they continue to bring up special talents from that small country. Now, Nigeria is a bigger country. We have a bigger pool of talents. So the recognition, the development, and the monetization, those are the 3 things I would talk about. How do we develop talents? That means we must have coaches in every kind of sport that we want to dabble in who can recognize talent. Right now, we don't have those things. We don't have that structure. Most talents that come up in Nigeria are by luck, by grace, or by maybe the parents want it or have done something. It is more by luck than by any concerted plan. So we must find a plan where we can recognize early this talent in athletics, in football, in boxing, whatever. Then we must have a plan to develop that talent into a world-class talent. Because a talent without a concerted plan is just a talent. After some time, it even becomes a frustration. It becomes a frustrated athlete. And then when we have done that, then we get to the point where we say, how do we monetize these talents that we have? At that point, you have gone full circle. Because when you monetize, you can now reinvest whatever you get back into discovering more talents. So those are the three things I would mention.
Okay, thank you very much.